Hi, it's Mark from Training Spark, and in this video we're going to take a look at LearnDash's new OpenAPI documentation and what this means for your LearnDash platform. So if you've kept an eye on the latest releases in LearnDash, you'll see that version 4.25 has had a couple of updates where the features have been this new OpenAPI documentation. Now, if you're not from the app development world and you don't integrate systems together, then this concept of OpenAPI may be new to you, and when you see updates like this, you might wonder what that is. So I thought it'd be useful just to put together a quick video explaining quite a high level what that is. I'm not going to go into too much detail here, but I just wanted to explain what OpenAPI is and how it relates to the LearnDash API here. So in case you're not aware, LearnDash has had an API for a while, and what it does is it kind of acts behind the scenes to help integrate other platforms and apps with LearnDash. So if, for example, you have a mobile companion for your LearnDash course, it may be using LearnDash's API to communicate and pass back and forth information. So it's just a way of LearnDash talking to other devices or platforms or systems. And historically, what you tend to find is that all APIs work in a slightly different way. They'll all have different endpoints, and there's quite a lot of guesswork involved in trying to make an app talk to an API. So what LearnDash have added here is this OpenAPI documentation. And what this is kind of a universal format that's recognized by lots of different tools. So developers can now explore LearnDash's API a lot more easily and connect to it without as much guesswork, because it's a standardized format, and they'll be able to open it in certain bits of software, which I'll show you shortly. And it just makes things a lot easier. So it kind of suggests that LearnDash are paving the way for more third-party platforms and apps to be able to communicate with LearnDash and opening it up in that way. So just to demonstrate this, what I'm going to do is open a piece of software. Actually, first what I'll do, I'll show you what this looks like. So essentially, if you now go to your platform after upgrading to the latest version, you'll see if you go to /wp-json /LearnDash /v1/docs/OpenAPI, you'll get this fairly horrible looking page here that just sort of explains all the things that the LearnDash API can do. And you'll see that it can do things like get courses, get course steps, get lessons, certain things around PayPal. If depending on your browser, even you might see it looking like this, which is even more difficult to read. But that is the raw output of what this OpenAPI documentation looks like. And that's what pieces of software can pick up and use to understand the LearnDash API. So if I take this address here and open a piece of software called Postman, is the one I'm going to use here, I can import that now, and what it'll do is read that API and understand it, and I can choose this OpenAPI 3 specification and click import. What it's doing is bringing all that in and understanding it, and we can see it has now appeared here. We can see things like courses, we can get courses, we can post and create new courses here, we can get lessons, and these are all the kind of things that devices and third-party platforms might want to do. And particularly if you're getting involved in things like N8N and Make.com for AI automation, then this is what those kind of things would talk to be able to do things like create courses. So what I'm going to do now is show you quickly how a couple of these endpoints work. I'm going to get all the courses on a platform, and I'm just going to create a new course via the API here. But firstly, what we need to do is head back to our LearnDash platform and create something called an application password. So I'm going to head to my profile here, go to Edit Profile. And I'm going to scroll down, and WordPress has this section here called Application Passwords that allow different systems like REST APIs to communicate, and it's their way of authenticating. So I'm just going to create one here called Postman, for example. And I'm going to click Add Application Password. And we can see here the new password for Postman is this, and all we need to do is copy that. Then within Postman, we go to the endpoint that we want to use here, and we can go to Authorization, change this to basic auth, and then put in our name, our username, as we use in WordPress, and that password that we've just copied there. And this is how it will authenticate. So it's now got permission to use the features of LearnDash because we've set up that application password. And what this endpoint I'm going to try here does is get courses. So in theory, it should pull a list of all the courses on the platform. And it kind of assumes we want to be searching on all of these things like when it was modified, search criteria. And we can just untick all of that, and that will shorten this right down to a basic endpoint that is just going to list all of the courses on the platform. So if I click Send now, it's now communicating with the API, and it just brings me a list of all of the courses on the platform with a bit of information about them. We can click Preview to see this in a bit more of a easy to view format. Table here, so we can see the titles here of the different courses, that's what the API has been able to get back here. And essentially what it's doing is showing the courses I have here. And so I've got 3 courses in here that are available. So we can see them there. Control Your Brain. There'll be another one down here. Healthy Eating for Healthy Life. So it's just pulled information about all of these courses. So that's a basic get endpoint that we've been able to use there via the OpenAPI documentation. It's all there set up ready for us to use. The next and slightly more advanced thing we're going to do here is create a new course. So we're creating a new course in LearnDash via somewhere else. We're using the API to do that. And what the documentation provides us with is some examples here of different requests and what we'll get back. And if we go to the body of what's been posted here, all we need to do is edit these things, and we can create our own courses here via this API here, just by passing in these strings of text. But we can keep this really simple if we want to as well. So, we don't need all of these different parameters, even though the documentation shows you that you can have them and you can append courses to categories and tags and things like that. In its most basic form, it could just look like this: title, status, content. And we need to add in our authorization again here. So I'll just set that as basic auth. What I'm going to do is just send that and see what happens. So we can see we've got a response back. It's created our course. It's called API Test Course. It's saying it's created by the API. And, we've kept it fairly simple at the moment, but, that shows what we've been able to do there via the API. And if I flick back to LearnDash now and refresh the page, we'll see we've got a new course here that was created via the API. And, that's the essence of how this works. It's a kind of ready-made set of instructions for APIs to be able to integrate with LearnDash. So I hope you find that useful, and even if it's not something you'll be able to use directly, I hope you find it interesting, because that's how APIs work and how different systems connect together. So if you did like the video, give it a like, and if you'd like to see more like this, please subscribe to the Training Spark YouTube channel.